What's up, guys? Welcome to the Brewcast. I think this is episode 57. Today, I'm going to make the argument, and I think I'm going to prove to you guys, or at least show that in all likelihood, Ben Askren is going to win this fight against Jake Paul. He's going to knock Jake Paul out. Well, maybe TKO him, or maybe win on points, but he is going to win. He's going to beat Jake Paul in this fight. Before I get into it, if you guys enjoy this video, please go check out the Brewcast, our YouTube channel. We have 56 other podcast episodes on there already, along with a lot of other funnier types of content, some comedy stuff. We do fight predictions, natty or nots on MMA fighters and boxers. We talk about boxing and MMA and about the future of the sport. We talk more philosophically about the principle, the philosophy about exercising and developing yourself and being a competent person, a competent man. And check it out if you guys feel like it. And then the last thing before I go into the video is, if you guys are in need of some new sexy clothing, please go check out the Brewcast merch shop, where we have the two new lines of clothing. The first line is the "Look at My Fucking Guns" line of apparel, and the second is the "William Way Spear. Shall I compare thee to a scoop of whey?" Now, for those of you who don't understand that, you clearly didn't do high school literature. But for those of you who do, if you find it sort of interesting and funny, be my guest. Any buying of the shirts obviously helps us. We make a little bit of money off of it, which kind of helps us go on. So thank you so much for listening to that shameless plug, and let's get into the video. So I'm going to break this down because this might end up being a bit of a longer video into what I'm going to talk about. Firstly, I want to talk about the reasons why Ben is being overlooked, right? Just the basic sort of general reasons, and the arguments about that, and the arguments about what it means to be a fighter. Because we've heard a lot of talk about Jake Paul's boxing skill being better than Ben Askren, and even Ben has said Jake is a better boxer, but we need to acknowledge, and some people have talked about this, like for example Chael Sonnen, that it's not just about if you're a good boxer, it's about whether you're a good fighter, and we're going to get into that. And then secondly, I'm going to show you guys what I think is the most damning evidence that Jake Paul is absolutely terrified, and that's why he's going to lose. We're going to look at some body language. I found this insanely good video on YouTube by this guy called Believing Bruce, so that's his channel's name, where he's a psychologist and he does a body language analysis of what happened at the press conference. And so those are sort of the two parts I want to cover, and then lastly, obviously, my conclusions about what I think is going to happen in the fight. So, to get started, let's think about Ben a little bit. So, Ben was a Division I wrestler. He was a state champion, national champion, went to the Olympics, went into MMA, was a world champion in two organizations, ONE FC and Bellator, if I remember correctly. Went over to the UFC, had a great career, I would say, and then suffered two losses. One, obviously, we know that knee knockout to Masvidal, and two, a couple of years later. And we know Ben isn't the best striker, but let's think about it this way. You have Jake Paul, who's the better boxer, and you have Ben Askren, who's not the better boxer, but who's the better fighter? What is being a fighter about? Being a fighter isn't just about skill. It's about being able to dig. It's about more than that. It's about acknowledging the fact that across the ring from you, there's someone who wants to take your head off. And regardless of that going, I want to be the one who gets my hand raised at the end of the fight. That's what being a fighter is about. It's about the resilience, right? It's about when you're so utterly fucked, like this picture of Ben that I had right here that I got on purpose. When you're so utterly fucked up, right? Yet you still find a way to win. Yet you still find a way to persevere. Right? Ben has been in this situation before. He isn't the best striker, but even in using wrestling and MMA, he has had to take shots. He has had to shit the bed, meaning he's had to have guys fuck him up. right? Look at his face. And yet he still found a way to win. He knows what it's like to be there. He's been in the situation where he looks across the cage and he sees another guy who wants nothing more than to take his head off. And regardless of that fact, he still perseveres. What has Jake Paul done? Jake Paul's had 2 boxing fights, one with Nate Robinson, the other one with Deji. Both of them he dominated. He knocked Nate Robinson out in 2 rounds. Look, I'm going to say 1 round because the second round, by my estimation, shouldn't even have happened, seeing how badly Nate was beaten in the first round. But the point is, Jake has never been pulled into that water where he has to dig down and figure out if he has balls. He's never been pulled down and beaten, or not even that. He's never encountered someone who he's hit and has refused to hit the canvas. He doesn't know what that's like. He doesn't know if he digs deep down there, if he's gonna find the testicles that he needs to keep going. This is the problem. A lot of people say the Paul brothers are savages and they're these guys and they act like nerds, but really they're these hard fucks. Look, I'm going to get into this a little later, but there's a reason why Jake Paul's body language indicated he was uncomfortable when Ben started saying you're trying to emulate your brother. Right? This is slightly off the topic, but Jake is a very classic younger child. He feels like he needs to sort of carve his own path. That's why he's gone this direction with the boxing. Right? He's taken this on. And he wants to show himself, ultimately, because that's what he needs, but also his brother and his fans, that he can stand on his own 2 feet and that he is his own man. Okay? But to do that in boxing, he needs to know and be able to show that when he digs down, there's a pair of balls down there waiting to be grabbed and pulled. Okay? To stop him from hitting the canvas or from giving up. Now, to get into the next part of the video, here's the thing. It's not just about whether Jake has the balls. It's also about whether he thinks he has the balls, and that might be even more important. That might be the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, his boxing skill is better than Askren's. And so even if Askren has the heart, if Jake's skill is so superior, far superior, he could still beat Askren with Askren's nuts, okay? But if Jake doesn't believe that he has what it takes, how is he even supposed to perform? And this is where I think the most damning piece of evidence is. Right? When you look at this video during the press conference, now if you watch this guy's video, it's very interesting. He goes into a lot of the details of where Jake Paul shows how uncomfortable he is when Ben asks him questions about the fight. When Jake says he's going to put Ben in his place, he indicates body language where he's almost self-reassuring himself because he's not sure. Right? But the most damning piece, at least relating to the fight, is right at the end where Ben pushes him. If we watch that piece, it's about to pop up. Ben pushes Jake, and Jake throws the most granny-esque front hand shot to, I don't even know if that was supposed to be a jab or a body shot, like an uppercut, to Ben Askren's body. And then proceeds to waddle his hands around and then push Ben out of the way. This right after Ben has shoved him in the face. Now, this guy is he's a psychologist. He's much more competent than me at explaining the reaction of the amygdala, the prehistoric brain, and Jake's mind and why he's acting in this way. But just from what I can see here, I'm thinking Jake is absolutely terrified. Because this guy just shoved him in the face. And he goes for a shot, but he doesn't actually punch the guy. He does this half-assed gut shot, waddles around with his hands because he doesn't know what to do, and then once after Ben has turned his back and is halfway away, Jake pushes him. That's a push out of fear, guys. That's a push of, I want to get this guy away from me because he's a threat. He doesn't punch Ben because he's terrified that if he punches Ben, Ben is going to fuck him up. Now, you could say, yeah, but that's because it's not in a boxing ring. That's because there, Ben can just fucking double leg takedown him and submit him on the ground. And yes, but it's about the mentality, guys. Throughout this entire press conference, Jake is a terrified little boy. And he's dealing with a man who has been there before, who's sitting there, calm as ever, doesn't have a single look of worry in his face. He knows exactly what's going on, and he knows that if it comes down to it, he has the balls to pull through. Jake doesn't know if he has that. He's terrified of throwing that punch because he doesn't know if it'll work. And here's the problem. Everyone's talking about Jake Paul having the power advantage over Ben Askren. And yes, it's true, but the power only helps if he actually has the nuts to throw the punch. As we've just seen, he doesn't have the nuts to throw the punch because he's scared that it's not going to work. And that's the problem, guys. This is the issue. This is why I think Ben is going to win. Because we know for the first 2 rounds, Jake is terrified, and he said he's going to try and knock Ben out. For 2 rounds, he's going to throw everything he possibly can. He's going to go Nate Robinson jumping wild, throwing shots at Ben, trying to knock him out. And let's go back to the picture of Ben. Ben can take it. This isn't going to kill him. He's been here before. He knows what it's like to be utterly fucked up. He knows. Jake is going to try. And after 2 rounds of blowing his load all over the ring, it's not going to work. And then Ben is just going to keep coming. Ben's going to keep coming, and he's going to keep coming forward, and he's going to keep walking, and eventually Jake is going to have to dig deep and find his testicles. But he's so scared he doesn't know if he has them. And maybe he doesn't want to take a look. Because if the answer is he doesn't have them, then it's over. So what's easier? Easier than digging down and seeing if you have the testicles, guys. It's easier to just give up. And so, at the end of the day, I just think it's going to be 2 rounds of Jake waltzing around, throwing shots as hard as he can at Ben, and Ben taking them. But then, at some point, Jake is just going to slow. He's going to die because he isn't going to have the nuts to dig deep and see if he has what it takes. We know he won't. Look at the way he's acted. He's terrified. He's finally fighting someone who very clearly isn't scared of him, isn't worried, and doesn't care how hard he can fucking hit. And doesn't care about how many loop-de-loops he can do with his jump rope. Okay, but that's me. Again, guys, before I end the video, the Brewcast YouTube channel, if you guys enjoyed this video, please check it out. I would appreciate it greatly. We have a whole bunch of other episodes on there and a whole bunch of other videos. Also, if you guys are looking for some new sexy clothing, check out the Brewcast merch shop. Look at my fucking guns apparel. And the Shall I Compare Thee to a Scoop of Whey, William Wayspear t-shirts. I appreciate your time. Let me know in the comments who you guys think is going to win this fight. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Goodbye.